Welcome to this edition of Utah Libraries Have You Covered, recording here at the Utah State Library for the Blind and Disabled Studio. I'm Jeri Openshaw, along with Jason Powers. Thanks. He's running the board. He's awesome. And we are joined today by Merrily Cannon.
Hi.
Welcome, Merrily.
Thank you.
We're happy to have you. Merrily has been at the Utah State Library in different occupations, I guess, since how long have you been here?
I started in 2018.
And what were you when you started?
So I originally started with the Blind Library, and I was a reader's advisor. So I worked with Lisa and the reader's advisory team.
It's a great job, and the people who get to call in and hear a human voice are always so grateful to hear a human voice. I know that for a fact. We get cards and letters about how great it is to hear a human voice on the other end of the phone, telling them what I love this kind of book, get me this kind of book, and they absolutely do that. So 2018, you were there for a while, and then?
Yeah, and then in 2019, I took on the state data coordinator role, and that was a lot of fun. I learned a lot, and I had this wonderful opportunity to work with library directors across the state.
Oh, that sounds awesome. What exactly does that mean, state data coordinator?
So the biggest piece of that job is to collect data for IMLS from all the public libraries in the state. And it's going to ask questions from everything about circulation and collections and budget and programs and attendance, library visits, this huge range of services that the library does. And then that information is sent onto IMLS, and some of that data is used to help calculate federal dollars to states. And we also use it on a state level to understand and be able to talk about the work that is done every day in our libraries. And then on a local level, libraries can also use the information to help them talk about the services that they are offering and the impact, and maybe even something like showing that they actually need more staff, for instance. They can show that in comparison to other libraries in the state that they're understaffed, and they might be able to use that data to build a case for more staffing. So it's used in lots of different ways.
That's absolutely wonderful. People probably didn't know that. We sure do help those public libraries. So let's go back a little bit. Tell me what IMLS stands for.
The Institute of Museums and Library Services.
So it's a grant program.
Yeah, so there's kind of two branches that I'm aware of with IMLS. Well, and then museums is going to be a whole other another aspect to it. So they have a program called Grants to States, and all the states in the nation are going to get some money if they are in compliance with.
Right. That's the bottom line, if they are in compliance. So, yeah, they have to kind of follow the rules to get help from IMLS.
Yeah.
So, okay, state data coordinator, and now from that to?
Then I took on the role of training coordinator in 2020, and I had an opportunity to work really closely with Chandra and on things like the Director Summit. And because it was during COVID, there was this huge opportunity to think about training in a new way, and there was a lot of opportunity there. So we were able to purchase Niche Academy, which is a training database that we offer to librarians and library staff throughout the state. We still continue Web Junction. We offered that before COVID, and we are still reaching out to specific trainers. We try and do an evaluation every year and find out exactly what it is that library staff across the state need, like what are the needs and what are the gaps. Yeah, it was just like I said, it was a really great opportunity to work really closely with Chandra.
Yeah, Chandra was our previous state librarian. She's moved on. We have a new state librarian, Kara Rothman. We're happy to have her on board. So now you are Library Development Manager. That's a big title. That's a really big title and very important for Utah libraries across the state. You have how many employees who work under you?
So I have 5 full-time and then 2 part-time.
And let's kind of delineate what they do, what their role is. They're some really important aspects to each one of their positions. So let's start with the grants program. We talked a little about that, so we kind of know, and that is Rachel Haberman. Boy, what a job. What a big job that is.
Yeah, she oversees our grant money from IMLS, and it's about $2 million every year. And some of that funds are spent internally on things like Overdrive and databases. But we also offer grant rounds to libraries across the state for all kinds of things. Like we have a Children and Teen Enhancement Grant that is going to be closing pretty soon. And we also offer a competitive grant round every spring, and there's technology grants. So it's just a lot of oversight for her and a lot of administrative processes just to make sure that all those dollars are spent, but also accounted for. So every dollar really needs to be reported on. As you know, as governments go, usually those dollars need to be reported on. So she makes sure that we're in compliance with all that.
That's the key, compliance. Compliance on all ends for the federal government. We have a lot of Rachels here. We have another Rachel, and she does Rachel Lenahan, she does training.
That's right. She also oversees, part of training is overseeing the annual Directors Summit. So we usually hold that in September, and it's 3 days. It's a big event. And she oversees everything from the venue to menus, the content. She works with a committee, and they plan content. Yeah, it's just a really big lift, and it's a lot of detailed work.
Right.
And it's usually a year in advance. But all these planning things come out a year in advance. So it's a
How many librarians come to this event?
Usually there's about 50.
And these are library directors.
Right. Library directors. There's about 60 library directors in the state, and about 50 of them come every year.
How many libraries are there in this state?
So we have what we call 60 administrative entities. So that means there's going to be basically like 60 headquarters. So sometimes a library is just one single location.
Right.
And then there's going to be others that are county systems or city systems, and they're going to have multiple branches throughout the state.
So there are also trainings available throughout the year, just ongoing, that librarians can tap into. Isn't that right?
Yeah. That's kind of a little bit what I was talking about earlier with Niche Academy.
Right.
That is a database that librarians and library staff have access to, as well as Web Junction. And then we'll also host targeted trainings. Like we had one with a youth author by the name of Josh Allen. And he talked about writing horror for youth, and it was really interesting. It was such a great webinar.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and we had another one recently about succession planning. And Rachel Lenahan is really kind of the pushing force behind all that. She's the one who's researching about what is needed in Utah and then finding trainers to meet those needs.
Perfect. Big job. These people all have a lot on their plates.
Jeri, she also does Uplift.
That's right. Tell us a little about Uplift.
So that's Utah's Public Library Institute for Training, and we offer 6 courses throughout the year, and we've been kind of slow getting them up and ready because we've switched it all into Canvas, and it used to be in person. So just getting all the content developed has been a really heavy lift, and Rachel's done a really great job. She just finished an administration course, and that's available to everyone in any library staff in the state, but we do require it for library directors that don't have a master's. So it's just a really great opportunity for professional development.
That's terrific. Karen Liu.
That's right, Karen. Karen is our youth services coordinator. She facilitates the annual summer reading program. So she's going to bring in a trainer every year, and we have in-person locations up in Roy and here in Salt Lake City, and then we do one down south. She also takes on special projects related to youth services. So one of her initiatives has been the Utah Ambassador for Young People's Literature. And this year it's Jennifer Nielsen, and so she's made several appearances throughout the state, and she goes and talks about the importance of reading and literacy, and it's just been a really great partnership. She's done really good work. Karen's done really good work with that.
She's won some awards, and
yeah,
she's a force. She is a force. Is the summer reading program, how do people get involved with that? Well, what's the theme this year? Do you remember?
So 2025 is Color Our World. So we just recently had the training in the fall. So that gives the library staff, several months to start planning. And the way that people can get involved is simply just to sign up. We send out like an informative email on our listserv every year and just letting people know that it's coming up. And if they would like to register to attend a class, then they simply sign up. We usually feed people lunch, and it's a great time to network.
Lunch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yay, lunch. But people can go to their libraries and sign up, correct?
Oh, right. Yeah. At a public library, you'd have the opportunity to sign up for the summer reading program and whatever's happening, whatever that means on a local level. Everyone's going to have their own spin and twist on it, and they're going to really take in consideration the local needs and what works best for their community. But typically you can sign up and maybe you get to put in a ticket for a prize at the end, or if you're a kid, maybe you come in every week and you get a little reward for participating. And the whole idea is to help with literacy all summer long.
I remember in the past we used to do big summer reading programs and do baseball at the baseball field, and the governor would be there. And I don't think we do that much anymore, but it's still important, and you can still get involved, and there's still a benefit to it. It's a great program. Okay, down the line, Alan.
Yeah, Alan is our Technology and Innovation Coordinator, and he recently facilitated the Technology Inventory Survey, and we had 100% participation with that.
Wow.
Yeah, he did a really great job. We're just waiting to hear back from our partner, that's Connected Nations, and they're going to produce like an executive summary and some results for us. So that's what we're waiting on next with that. And he's also taken the lead on AI.
Oh, that's big. Yeah. That's so big.
We have the opportunity to participate in something that we call SLATE, and that stands for State Library Agency Artificial Intelligence Technology Working Group. And so we're just working with other state libraries in the nation and just learning more about the opportunities that are available to libraries using AI.
And we have a new person.
Yeah, we recently hired a contracts analyst, and that's Patricia.
And what does that job entail?
So that one is really going to be helping Rachel Haberman a lot.
With grants?
Yeah, exactly. With all the sub-granting that we do, and even our regular contracts. So whenever we hire a trainer, she's going to be the one that is making sure that all the signatures are signed, and she keeps track of everything. She's going to file it all away, just keep us all organized. So it's really nice to have that.
That's great. We just named some quality libraries. Do you have that list in your head? I just know of a couple, but I know that we do this every year. It's a very big honor for the libraries who get these awards. How many were there this year?
I'm pretty sure we had 27.
27, yeah. Yeah, but I don't know that we can name them all. I do know that Price and Helper, they did their own little PR piece and in their little newspaper and spotlighted the library. It's a big deal. So, yeah, so that's something that libraries across the state can think about qualifying for. It's a big deal.
Absolutely.
And it's great PR for their community and the people in their community, so it's a good deal. I think people don't really understand what we do here at the Utah State Library, so what we are trying to do is go through each program. So we have Library for the Blind and Disabled, obviously, and the Resource Program, and lots of things under Resource. But I just want to make sure that people know about how our development program helps them and their libraries and their communities. So is there a bottom line? I mean, what is the bottom line that helps them know that we are helping them?
I think probably one of the biggest ways that we help people in their communities is not only through all these targeted, very specific ways like grants.
That we talked about.
And exactly. But the other thing that the development team does is consulting.
There you go. Yeah.
And so that basically just means that library directors and library staff, we're available to them. When Kara first started, I said something to the effect of like, my team is basically the librarians for librarians. students.
That's perfect.
Yeah, and so we're there to support them and whatever their questions are, if it's, and they range all over the place, from what's a best practice, or can you help me? I have this issue in my community. Can you help me with it? And so as a team, it's really great that we can rely on each other,
Right.
and not only us, but we might even take it out to the larger library community. There are directors in the state that have been in their position for 30 years.
Right.
So there's a lot of knowledge, and there's a lot of ways to be creative and problem solve and find the very best solutions.
And once a month, you hold a meeting online for library directors for them to ask questions and sift through some of their issues. I think it is once a month, correct?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we might miss a month, especially like during the Director Summit, because we're all going to see each other in person. But I try to hold them pretty regularly.
And they get great attendance and always lots of questions and feedback and bouncing ideas off each other. I think you should be commended for having those meetings once a month, because it is a really good way to pull the librarians across the state together and make it a team effort.
Thanks, Jeri. Appreciate it.
So anything else about development that I've missed or that you would like to talk about? Have we covered it pretty much?
Yeah, I
think we have. I think we pretty much in a nutshell. Okay, so this is an interesting question. You, in your life, use a thing called Hygge? Hygge.
Hygge.
I was close, though. A little dyslexic, maybe.
No, not at all.
Tell us what it is. And you kind of use this in your everyday life at home.
Yeah. Back in, I think it was 2016, I read the book called The Little Book of Hygge.
Which you can get at your library.
Yeah. And it just really resonated with me. One of the aspects of Hygge is this idea that you are safe and cozy. And part of that is bad weather, because you can be safe and cozy in your home and with your friends and family, and the storm can rage outside. And so there's this element of like safety that really, like I said, just really resonated with me, because I've always kind of liked quote unquote bad weather. I call it good weather.
Me too.
And, as a kid, people were very confused by that. They would say, "Man, Merrily, you're really dark. Why do you..."
You're not dark at all.
And they were like, "That doesn't fit with my perception of who you are." They'd say things like that. And so it felt very validating to me to read that there are people out in the world that like some bad weather. And I just felt like, I'm connected. I'm connected to this idea.
I think it's a great way to live, and it's kind of Scandinavian. Is it Danish? Is that what it is generally?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's this idea that like happiness is based on the quality of your relationships, which is something, that's been studied across nations and time, and that's the conclusion that scientists have come to, that happiness is really based on the quality of our relationships. Yeah. And Hygge supports that.
It does. And I think we feel that a little bit here. I know I come to work and I have always enjoy just having that relationship with you guys. I mean, it's a great place to work. And aren't we lucky that we have a roof over our head when the storms get bad and we can snuggle up. So Hygge is something also that we're using as a little campaign this holiday season to be warm and cozy. Keep your eyes out at your local libraries or the Utah State Library Instagram, because we'll be posting a little bit of fun, warm and cozy information to put out there for you, just to be warm and cozy and snuggle up with a good book and a big blanket.
Yep, that definitely fits it.
I think so. How long have you done that?
Well, probably 2016, but I was just going back into thinking about my mom actually just does some of these things that Hygge affects or is part of all our senses. And it can involve taste, and those are comfort foods and stew and baked goods, and smell is part of it, and anything that makes you feel safe or comfortable. So maybe freshly baked bread or fresh laundry, sounds. So
Oh, wow.
even the sounds of like listening to someone draw or knit, or
I
like
just love this.
the sound of like a fire crackling. So all those things that contribute to a safe and cozy place. And like even the textures are involved. So you're going to look at things that are like antique.
Oh, wow.
Or vintage or handmade or rustic or organic. The sights are going to be dimmed. You're going to look at like pools of soft glowing light. So candles, fires. And it includes slow activities in your life, like watching the snowfall or stargazing or a sunset or a sunrise, reading a book.
It's making me sleepy.
Yeah, yeah.
Taking naps.
It should relax. Exactly.
Yep, with a big cozy blanket.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great thought. I love this. I'm absolutely adopting it, not just for the holidays and not just during our campaign, but I think it's great. Are you Danish? Or did this just come by you somehow?
No, actually, I do have some family history. I do have some Danish blood in me. So it's funny because, when I read the book, I thought, I'm Danish. So this explains it. I'm Danish.
Now
I know. Yeah. So that's what I was saying earlier. It really did resonate with me. And just this idea that you can experience happiness in very simple things, and it's all about enjoying the moment and to live in the present. And so I try to do that. It can be really hard, especially if there's hard things going on in your life.
Sure.
It can be really hard.
And around you.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just need some place to shelter and be safe and warm,
Yeah.
cozy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, keep an eye out for our campaign during this season and throughout the year. I think that maybe it's something that we just keep moving through, and I think it may be something that the Utah State Library might adopt. Well, I don't know. We don't have very many blankets here, but we could find some.
Yeah,
we'll bring our own blankies down. It sounds like a great campaign. It's something that we could all wrap our arms around.
Definitely. I think we could all live in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier said than done.
I would think so. I think, concentrating on trying to be that way, it might be more difficult. But I think maybe once you get matriculated into that idea, it might just come naturally. I think it probably comes naturally anyway. But we just don't. We push it away, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the idea. And that's a glimpse into Merrily's life.
Thank you, Jeri.
and we're going to bring that into the State Library. And again, keep an eye out for the campaign, and maybe it's something we continue throughout the year. And summer with those big storms, those big summer thunderstorms, that might be a way to think about hygge.
And even picking berries.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
And then making jam.
Oh, I love it.
And like just the smell of like warm, fresh fruit, and processing, like all that stuff.
Yeah, in the springtime planting. And,
exactly.
Yeah, fall picking and harvesting. And,
yep.
Oh, I
Yep.
love it.
Yep.
Just love it.
Me too.
What a great way to end this interview, Merrily. You've been so awesome, and we're so happy to know you. And thank you for introducing us to hygge.
Thanks, Jeri.
And our development program at the libraries. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Likewise, thank you.
You're very welcome.